In a long line. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a big fan of a minimal viable product, and that's what you're experiencing here today. It really is. I'm excited about it because in the last 8 years of my community building, this is probably the first time various elements of my community, my team, the people that I love and work with, we've all come together to build. And it's very, very exciting for me. My name is Boyd Stevens, and somehow or another I've been given the name Brother Boyd. And that's how everyone references me. But I'm by day what pays the bills. I'm a network operator, engineer. We design and manage computer networks. What we do outside of that is a lot of herding and corralling the creative talent here in the city and in the region. We're just excited to be here. We want to first and foremost thank our sponsors. Without them, we just would not be able to host this event. It's just been exciting to see our sponsors step up and want to be a part of what we're doing here. When people put their money on the line, then they're serious about whatever it is they're trying to do. So we are just so appreciative. Even our media sponsor, Gumptown Magazine, Brother John, let's give him a hand. There you go. We're just really excited and just excited for everything. Most of you may not know what an Ignite talk is. It's my favorite type of presentation. Primarily because it's only 5 minutes in scope. We do a lot of entrepreneurial training, and one of the things we stress to our entrepreneurs is they're developing the ability to tell their stories. But not only that, but to tell their stories succinctly. Because we live in an age, may I see that? See, I would pull mine out, but as you see, it doesn't work that way.
You got a flip phone.
But we live in an age where these are helping develop our attention spans equivalent to that of a Mac. And I've been saying this for years, but now the medical science community is confirming that. It's doing something to our ability to, if you will, sit down for long periods of time, engage sophisticated conversations, or read sophisticatedly written series of prose. It's just challenging. And so what that means in this digital world, information age, when we want to get a point across, we have to get it across very quickly. And so what I'd like for Mr. Bullock to do, if you would, if you could hit the lights, KG, kind of introduce you to what an Ignite talk is.
Ignite is a sprint talk, 5 minutes, all the time. Ignite is a bunch of people being brave and giving 5-minute talks. Ignite is validation of the idea that everybody has a story. And if they get a platform and support the community and some coaching, they can say something that can change people's lives.
It is a quick inspirational talk. What did you say? What do you call it? Enlighten us, but make it quick.
So Ignite is 5-minute talks, 20 slides per talk, 15 seconds a slide. The slides are all in advance. And I always think of Ignite Seattle being a very Seattle-focused experience. Like you hear people are doing super interesting things in Seattle. And I think the audience is looking for that and wanting someone to stand up and say, I'm working on something that you've never heard about, and I'm going to blow your mind about how cool it is.
So as you all know, it is very difficult to do something in this day and age without some assistance with technology. And so we want to thank the team for River Region Technical Solutions and all the And tonight in retreat, fortunately I can hand this microphone over to someone who handles it much more efficiently than I. Mr. Kalonji Gilchrist, among all other things, he's the executive director and founder of 21 Dreams Arts and Culture. He is also the founder of a business that I've been kind of harassing him to launch for much longer than 21 Dreams, and that's Kari Creative. He is, we were talking today, I sent him an email and misspelled his name. And he corrected me. I said, you know, you think after 22 years I'd get it right. But Kalonji Gilchrist, please welcome him as he
Cool. Pleasure to be here. How are y'all doing? I'm right. A little bit. Feeling good? All right, good. This is exciting, man. So, how many of you are a fan of TED Talks? Woo! Yeah. Cool. Obviously, right? So this is this rapid TED Talk that I'm excited to see for the first time, but also be a part of. So on the good side, there's no pressure. It's just I'm introducing and I'm navigating, but I'm enjoying the conversation much like you all. So I don't remember if you mentioned it, but we as presenters present. We'll give 5 minutes for Q&A. I'll ask a question, and then you'll have a small window to ask questions as well. Cool? Y'all excited? Y'all ready to get started? The email I got has a different order. I'm going by the paper, right? All right, cool. So,
and let the presenters know they can either present on the stage or they can come down so they can orchestrate.
All right, cool. So y'all got that? Presenters, especially if you have something you're narrating here, bam, good line of vision.
What could possibly go wrong?
Right. Give you some, I'm cutting out some of the thought process. You can be there. So, all right. First person up, let me see if I can lay my eyes on him. Bang, there he is. Mr. Richard Williams. Let me get my intro together for you. Because Mr. Williams is the founder and executive director of the Beacon Center. Please welcome Mr. Richard Williams.
Faith informs culture. Faith informs culture. You know, back in the day, I got the opportunity to accept a call to serve in ministry, and for a minute there, I thought I was just going to be Grandma's pastor. But clearly that was not the call that was for my life, and I realized that there was an experience to serve my neighbor in a greater way. A way to serve my neighbor that was defined not by sitting in a pew, but by being on the street. By sitting in the boardroom, and by studying and sitting with those that others would say pastors are not supposed to go. But when we think about a place called Metropolitan, a church that's been around for nearly 100 years, it's a place that has been solid, and it's been a rock. The question today is, does faith inform culture? I answer that question boldly today and saying, yes, faith is informed by culture. See, even in that picture there, it took us to the bank, because even the faith community is connected to every morsel of our lives. The idea that even a cloud exists, faith connects to that. Even the idea of someone writing us a contribution of our largest contribution to an idea that we never thought we could see, of $100,000 sent to us from across the country, a place they never had visited, an idea they never saw before. But they believe that faith is informed by culture. We are a group of leaders who are connected together with literally 31 plus partners who are committed to one sentence. We exist to remove barriers from our neighbors so they can have a better life. We exist to remove barriers from our neighbors so they can have a better life. So much so that if someone finds himself in an area and needing help around detox, so they can be the best tech person or be the best medical professional, or to even connect with all of the community development in our community, they may need a resource that allows them to challenge along their way. We understand that even as a young leader, I must be able to connect with other leaders, and that's why I'm so grateful to be present here today. Because our work for us to remove barriers from our neighbors means that someone must do the lift. Someone must lift the load. Someone must remove the barrier. We're grateful to have the awesome opportunity to remove the barriers from our neighbors As those barriers have been removed, we have responded to things such as COVID-19. Instead of calling it a metropolitan church activity, we walked under the brand of Why Not Us, Live, with the understanding that us could inform a pandemic, something that we've never seen before. We were able to walk alongside the Chan Zuckerberg Foundation, acknowledging us as a tech organization, being one that doesn't have file cabinets, but that has Chromebooks that informs our team. From a traditional context of a black church to one that now is leading the way in the faith community, but also in the nonprofit sector. We are a part of the change that we want to see, and even as we see these youth who are participating in another program in the city, they were able to stop by the experience at the Beacon Center to be a part of packing food, because we move over 70 tons of food, feeding 19,000 households because of partnerships. Partnerships and collaboration has been our key. One of our partners is DoorDash. It allows me to be able to make 400 plus deliveries to those in our neighborhood, allows them to save some gas, and allows them to have received the dignity and pride of receiving help. See, for us, serving our neighbor is just the beginning. It's just the beginning to a relationship. And now we walk in a space today saying that we exist to remove barriers from our neighbors because we believe that they can have a better life. So we do that through counseling services. We do that through adult education. We do that through generating jobs and connecting individuals to those experiences. I'm not grandma's pastor. I'm the community's pastor. And I'm their neighbor in every step of the way. May we not draw boxes that we don't want drawn for ourselves. The Beacon Center.
Members of the audience, best assist you with furthering your cause of efforts?
Thank you so much. So for us, we have a facility that's 8,500 square foot. We're grateful that facility is debt-free. But what we do know is programming is something that is a real cost. And so for individuals who have access to programming, access to other resources, we are big in collaboration. So we would love for you to connect around that area. Or if you would just like to give us a contribution, feel free to go to Gimpify and search Metropolitan United Methodist Church, and you'll see the Beacon Center project there.
Perfect. All right. Good deal. Do we have any questions from the audience?
What type of programs would you be interested in?
Yeah, so currently right now we have 31 plus programming items, and so what I would share with you, there are very few things that we don't do and that we're not willing to do. We're willing to connect with someone that's sleeping in their car and then connect them to rapid housing, then to connect that person to adult education, then to connect them to counseling, and then to connect them in their new apartment, and then to connect them into a new community of love and care. So if there's a program that can remove barriers from our neighbors so they can have a better life, we'll be open to start that conversation.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Could you tell us about your latest initiative working with those that are incarcerated and creating opportunities for those folks as well?
No problem at all, Trent. I don't mind getting in front of the press conference at all. We're super excited. It's an Ignite Fest, so it's good to have some good, fresh news. We're very excited that in the next 7 days, there will be an announcement where we will be the first provider that is serving those who are veterans in our court system, particularly those who find themselves in difficult spaces in our court system. We'll be the first provider serving our district court system, providing support to veterans, as well as providing support to those whose cases have not been adjudicated. And so it's a 6-month program that allows individuals to take control of their lives and also to be able to make decisions to advance their lives forward. So we're excited about that opportunity to serve our veterans. They've done so much for our country, and when they find themselves in our legal system, they should receive love and care. as well as the neighbors and those who are in our community.
Excellent. Yes, sir.
What is one of the biggest challenges that you have now that all of us can help you with? As far as what's your biggest ask? If you say, hey, how can we help you? What do you need? Be specific as possible. What is it?
The biggest ask would be $127,000 and 17 cents. And the reason why the cents are in there is because there is much work that needs to be done. Our counseling services, what we found is as we incorporate individuals going into new sense of programming, taking control of their lives, they need other services. And so we need more individuals in counseling relationships. We need more individuals with wraparound services. And one of our team members is here, Andrea, who serves as the field director. We're so grateful. Can we celebrate? I'll tell you, it's an amazing team. It's an amazing team. It's an amazing team that serves. For us to be able to have 31 plus different partners is because of members that are metropolitan, but it's because of those relationships. And so that level of resource, $127,000, would make a rapid change in the life of our work, and we would be able to serve the amount of people we're serving now. We would be able to replicate that 3 times. Yes, sir.
Are you getting the support you want, need, and expect from the United Methodist Church?
What we know historically is that in 1968,
I got you, you know I got you.
For everyone else who doesn't know, back in 1968, we're currently located in Alabama. And so if you were an African American community, worshiping community, you were not included. And then Alabama West Florida Conference took a couple of years to pray and discern if we could be connected together, and that took additional couple of years. And to be honest with you, it's currently 2021. I think there's still some individuals who are trying to figure that out. What I can say is that in our latest effort at the Beacon Center, we've had support to be able to do that work. We were the first African American church in the entire network to acquire a piece of property in I think almost 50 years. And I don't think that's really a celebration. I think that should be a time of mourning. But we do press forward in the midst of the struggle.
Amen. Here. If we need to pop a couple more chairs, I think we might have some to get that taken care of as well. All right, let's get it started. All right, our next presenter is Bill DeMarco. I don't know why I just stuttered, just looked at the word. Bill DeMarco is Chief of the Innovation Development Air University Innovation Accelerator. Please welcome Bill DeMarco.
Well, hey, as I said, I'm Bill DeMarco. The family and I have been in Montgomery now for about 10 years. I came here as a colonel, retired, and we decided to stay, so you're stuck with us. But tonight I want to talk to you about igniting the intellectual edge and taking innovation one step beyond and how we do that at Air University. As with everything in Montgomery in terms of aviation, it starts with Wright brothers. Some may know that in 1910, Wilbur Wright took a train to Montgomery, got off the train, walked down to the Chamber of Commerce, walked in and said, "Where can I start my first flight school?" I wonder how the conversation went, but the rest, as I say, is history, and Maxwell Field was founded. During the interwar years at Maxwell, we created the Airport Tactics School, where anybody who wasn't a luminary in air power thought came to think through how would we fight a war in Europe and the Pacific. And so came the Combined Bomber Offensive, which arguably won World War II. Today, Air University is the intellectual and leadership development center of the Air Force. And you might not know that every airman at some point in his or her career will come through the gate at Maxwell. Most people in the community, I think of Air University as Air War College only. And Air War College is indeed awesome, but only 245 people go to Air War College every year, and they do become our senior leaders in the Air Force. But what you might not know, at Air University, we have 11 centers. We graduate close to 200,000 students every year from all around the globe. And AU spans every state in the union as well as overseas entities as well. So imagine if we could take that brain power and harness it against problems like this. When you think about the situation in the China-Pacific theater, China outmasses us in almost every way, shape, or form. But does that matter anymore when you think about the Ukraine fight? So how do we take our students and let them think about things like this and then start to innovate? How do we do that? Well, Air University in 2021, General Hecker asked us to stand up AUIS. So what we do is we look at our students, we take their ideas, we push them out into the ecosystem, and we check the ecosystem and pull ideas back in. And we do that through an OV1 slide. Now, this slide was created, honestly, not by me, but by a cadet who came to visit us in the summer of 21. And after I gave her a great lecture on how awesome innovation was, she looked at me and said, "I don't get it." And I said, "Well, if you could just pen something, we'll use that." And she came up with this. But when you look at this, you see those colors, .mil-PF just means stuff. But we think of innovation in terms of stuff, events, education, social innovation maybe, but it's so much more than that. We have to go back to those inputs. Now, like I told you, 200,000 students coming to Air University. Imagine if we could take their ideas, take their problems, their requirements, and bring them in an organic way and innovate around that. Or take things from an inorganic source like AETC A9 or MGM Works or other partners and start solving those. Then we go through a go, no-go type decision. Do we have lift? Do we have a champion? Do we have a sponsor? We filter it through strategy, and then we decide we have the capacity to do it, and we bring it into a queue. Then we get to that innovation airspace there with what I like to call the 5 tankers of innovation. So we have funding, contracting, partnerships, networks, and manpower. Each one of those tankers has to drop their fuel into that motor to get that motor spinning. Once we're spinning at speed, we get outputs. And those outputs look like capabilities, products, services, and processes. Now, I like to point out, we do fail. We like to fail fast, sometimes not so fast. And sometimes it's just not ready for the idea and it goes into a holding pattern. So we can't do this alone, as you imagine. So we have some amazing partners, and probably our biggest partner I point out is locally with MGM Works. But also the Chamber and Tech MGM, the City of Montgomery, the state, but also our federal congressional delegation. We could not do what we do without help from our congressmen. Now, innovating in the real world. These are just some of our projects. I put some icons up there. They're kind of like my kids. You know what I mean? I got a little picture, I got to give them some names, and then I want to go through about 3 of these with you tonight. So the first one would be Project Crate. Project Crate is that dragon. So as we look at the future of our fighting ability, it's going to be moving fast from airbase to airbase to airbase. How do we do that with these partners and keep them in contact with higher headquarters? That's great. We're working with the 187 Fighter Wing down in Danville. Next, super exciting, Classroom of the Future. Let's think about January, February of this year at MGM Works, second floor. We're going to have an ultimate classroom with all of these partners you see up there. But how do we take technology and start teaching in new and exciting ways with K through 12 and Air University? And finally, we have LEDXSI. So think about LEDX, Leadership, Educational Development Experience around social innovation. So we're partnering with several entities you see up there, but I want to point out Auburn, Michigan, and Cambridge. Downtown, 12 October, be there, limited seats, but we'd love to have you there. So I started with the Wright brothers, I end with the Wright brothers. What if Wilbur never took the train to Montgomery and walked into the chamber and said, where do I start my first flight school? What would innovation be like in the Air Force today? Thank you very much.
All right, Bill, how can we, members of the audience, best assist you in furthering your cause or efforts?
Well, I got to say that the community here has been amazing. And anything, ideas that we can work on with you, please bring us your ideas. And I know Joyce Wester lets you have to step out, but if you go down to MGM Works, we probably spend 60% of our time down at MGM Works. Please come and talk to us. Bring us your ideas. Let us know what we can do in the community to help, and we'd love to be part of that.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. By the way, shameless plug, 21 Dreams will have something in partnership with MGM Works. Thankful of our good brother here, Trent, that would likely partner also with Air Force as well.
No. So we can look at the Air Force and its innovation. And you have all of their partners that are listed there. And I'm familiar with some of those partners, and some of those partners aren't too innovative. So,
No.
Can y'all hear what? Okay.
How do you posture towards a group that you may have to kind of encourage along much more fully than those who might be ready to vote?
Yeah, boy, the first thing I thought of was the Air Force. But a lot of times it's showing people what you really can do. And I think between MGM Works and AUIX, what the idea is to start small and make small wins and then get them big. One thing I talk a lot about, it's not a good analogy anymore with COVID, but was how do we virally infect the Air Force? We plant seeds inside of the Air Force of future leaders that then teach other future leaders, and then that virus starts to spread. So I think when it comes to innovation, we're doing a lot of that. We teach a lot of innovation courses at AU, and then those airmen go out to their units out in the Air Force, and they start talking about innovation and infecting their wings with new ideas.
Would you elaborate a little bit more on the ultimate classroom?
So yeah, I knew that was, I hope it's going to ask about that. So, we've tried this before at Air University to create what we call the classroom of the future. But what happens is sometimes our academics want to then get into things like pedagogy. Like what do we teach? What do we teach in the classroom? That's not what we're thinking about right now. We're thinking about bringing the technology to the classroom and letting the teachers use the tech. So one of the things we've been talking with Booker T and with Valiant Cross is things like VR and AR. So could we bring some of these K through 12 students in and expose them to VR? Because the idea is that's only the beginning. The other thing is artificial intelligence. And these are all really embryonic, but we're not doing much with them yet. So I don't know that it's going to be the Air War College students that actually do this. I think it's going to be, honestly, Valiant Cross has seniors this year. Let's bring some of those seniors in and find out what they can do with this technology. So in a way, they're helping us help them, help us help them.
Good. All right, got time for one more question. Gotta let them off easy.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Okay, let's see who's next. Please welcome to the stage Miss Alana Taylor. All right.
Symbolism, healing, and technology. So this slideshow is called Art Ovation, because with art, technology, and the imagination, there are so many possibilities. So I'm originally from California. I was raised in Minnesota, and of course, somehow I matriculated down to Montgomery, Alabama. And this has shaped my views on life and art itself. Being a professor at ASU, I've been introduced to students and their traumas and their dramas and excuses, right? But COVID has shown me something. We are all hurting, and we are all dealing with something. There's been process and programs that I've been doing with my students just out of my own healing process. And because of that, I've been able to use art as a catalyst. So, out of trauma, pain, and COVID, I was able to create a business and becoming an entrepreneur now called Mindful Meta Art. So, with this, I take mindfulness, meditation, and art with some other catalysts to create a space of introspection and self-reflection. And then the person who is in the class is able to self-reflect and think about their own healing processes without any outside input, any outside analyzation. They're free to be themselves on paper. So you can see some of my students here. I've done some shows and some classes at the public library, private groups, etc., etc. But one thing I found out is that art and technology has so much to offer. So innovation and creation is just the process, but with the right tools, the right community, the right leaders in place, there's so much that can be accomplished. One of the things that we're going to be talking about is the creative placemaking, social innovation, access to technology. These are important so people have the right tools to express themselves, to heal themselves, to communicate. And with your help and with everybody's inclusion, we're able to make this happen. So that is my journey that I'm sharing with you and everybody. So if you have any questions more about me and as an artist, or what I'm doing in the community with Mindful Meta Art, please connect with me. But just know that art and technology is a wave. He was just talking about AR and VR. We're using that as well. We're using music as well. That's another form of art. There's so much to do, and there's so many ways to do it. But what does it take? It takes all of us connected. If we're plugging into technology, if we're plugging in with family, as you can see, like at ASU, we connected with the counselors and the social work, even the athletes came through to participate. I have artists that are participating. I have veterans participating. This is an amazing tool, and I just want to share it with everybody. And that's why you keep hearing me repeat things, because as a teacher, you know how many times I have to repeat things to students? I have to tell them 4 or 5 times before they get it. But you guys have the opportunity to do this with me. That's what I'm asking of you. I'm asking you to look at all these smiling faces. I know you saw one girl crying. Those were not crying because of sadness. She released something she was holding inside that she did not know was inside of her. And through that process, she was able to let go. So, here's my little heart for y'all. So thank you.
All right, Alana?
Yes.
So, how can we, members of the audience, best assist you in furthering your efforts?
So, first of all, you've already helped me. You listened to me. You gave me a chance to speak. You were able to visually see some of the progress I've already done. Now, to take it, what is it, another level? What do you say? I need your support. Spread the word of what I'm doing. If there's more opportunities, I want to be part of those opportunities. I want to be part of those programs that Richard was talking about. I want to be part of that funding Richard was talking about. So I'm looking for sponsorships so I can give this freely to others who can't afford it. So sponsoring programmings or events and all that, that's what I need for that. And just connecting with me. Follow me on Instagram. Share me. Market me. Because, you know, as a small business or an artist, it's about that network and building a family. Building a fan base. So that's what I do. Any questions?
Questions?
How about this? Does anybody who's had my program want to speak about anything? Go ahead, Jeremiah. What you guys doing?
Hi, my name is Jeremiah Isaiah. I have become a local artist here because of people like Alana. Just going through some things. I took her class. She was able to open me up, and I was able to express myself through colors on a canvas. And it's something that I realized it took 6 to 7 hours out of my day. It gave me a chance to, you know, be able to take those sad moments and things that I was going through and be able to not think about them that much, right? But it just gave me an outlet, and because of her, I was able to open up. I was able to speak better to people in my community, and people have accepted me, and I just thank God for her and this program. And I even asked her the other day, I'm like, man, I cannot wait for you to get back and get settled so that we can go back and start another class, because now I've got new stuff to talk about, but it's good stuff now, you know, instead of the sad stuff, right? So, yes, it does work. So, thank you.
Thank you.
So we did this, we reviewed this book this past weekend called Art and Fear, right?
Okay.
How artists kind of deal with fear and present their work. Have you had, is there a battle, have you experienced or even helped others with that somewhat, it may be like a being self-validated or being validated in the community, all of those things, you know, presenting your artwork. What's your thoughts on?
Oh boy, we don't have enough time for that.
We got a little time. Let me shut up, go ahead.
No, let me put it this way. As a human being, we have fear. We have fear, we need validation. We're looking for love. And sometimes the wrong places, and sometimes we're looking for love in tangible items or certain certifications, like now is what Facebook likes, Instagram likes, right? So, as an artist, when we're expressing ourselves, sometimes those are personal expressions that are not supposed to be shown all the time. So we might struggle if we're supposed to show this because it might show our true self. And that's scary. Because we're all wearing all these different hats to fit in. We're all wearing all these different masks to make sure that we're accepted in certain groups. So that's what I'd say about the fear in the artist. Now for me, yes, I've been actually being a little slow bloomer because I've been a humble servant to the people I love, and I chose to. But me coming out and having a solo show this August and experiencing what I did with our community, that was something. So it is a challenge. But even with my art talk, which you were there, thanks, I was explaining that Alana Infinity is my true self, and Alana Taylor is who I happen to be to take care of who I need to take care of. Any other questions? Yes.
Me?
Yes.
Do you want to speak your ideal vision of any specific groups that you would love to work with? Do you have like people experiencing something, certain age ranges, people going through like, let's say, pregnancy or an illness or teenage transition?
So I don't have, since I got 5 seconds, I don't have any groups that I'm looking to work with specifically.
Okay.
I'm looking for people who are open to receive.
Cool. So I think that it's important for us to also be aware of the themes of this particular Ignite. That is creative placemaking, digital inclusion of digital rights, open data, and social innovation. So you'll see that theme among your presenters today. Cool? Enjoying it so far?
Yeah.
All right, good. We'll keep it on fire. Let's see. So nice, we'll do it twice. We have another Alana Dennis with 2 N's. Executive chef and owner of Alana's Gourmet. Welcome to the stage. Slow walking, she ready. They said, "Not she on fire." All that pressure, I know, right? No.
All that pressure.
No pressure.
Yeah, they just say Alana's Gourmet.
It's coming.
Oh? I got a different hat today.
Oh, you got a different hat on. Let's talk about it.
All right, so real quickly, my name is Alana Dennis. Some of you may know me as Monique Dennis. My name is Alana Monique Dennis. So what I'm going to talk about today is pure artistry community outreach. This is like my baby. So I grew up not far from here, maybe like 3 blocks away. And that community currently is impoverished. There's no grocery stores, no restaurants, no anything really. It's a blighted community. So really what we actually step over here so you can see the clock. There we go. Okay. So really what we've done with Pure Artistry Community Outreach is I have connected with several different community organizations And we'll talk about these 2 projects, and we also have a young man from one of those projects here today. But just to press forward, art is not a luxury. Art is a precondition to success in a world increasingly driven by creativity and innovation. Investing in arts and culture institutions can be the economic equivalent of bringing a manufacturing plant to a neighborhood, and from a cultural and quality of life standpoint, more than surpassing. That was from the president of the Ford Foundation. So I like that quote just because it gives light to the fact that art is in everything. No matter what we do, it's there. So for my background, I am actually a computer scientist. I wrote software for more than 25 years. I've worked with DoD contractors, I've worked with NASA, I've worked with National Security Agency. So all of that kind of comes together in me, and it produced Alana's Gourmet in addition to Pure Artistry Community Outreach. And basically what Pure Artistry Community Outreach does is we utilize a community garden to introduce STEAM concepts to residents. So we work with the elderly, we work with children, we work with youth. We actually grow produce and give it to the community. And through all of these slides, you'll see pictures of us actually working in the garden, building the raised beds, giving food away to the residents, that kind of thing. But we not only give the food away, we actually encourage them to build their own gardens. So we teach them, if you can't afford food, you know, $3 worth of seed, and you can eat for, you know, pretty much ever if you continue to save your seeds. So we kind of encourage them, we teach them how to do those things in addition to providing food for them as well. So this particular project just finished on Saturday. This is, we call him Trey. Trey is in the back. His Boy Scouts team helped him accomplish his Eagle Scout project this weekend. So what they actually did was they built a little library and a pantry box. So side by side, we're right next door to a daycare. So our goal with the little library is to not only provide books and everything for the children at the daycare, so they can take books and read books and all that stuff, and we'll create some story time events and all of that, but we'll also have pantry so they can walk by, grab food, take food if they need it for their family. And then the next project that we had was the MLK Day of Service, which was presented by the YMCA of Greater Montgomery. And they brought out the Alabama State football team. The Alabama State football team actually helped us build a compost bin for our garden. So we like to partner with a multitude of organizations, smaller organizations. And what this kind of does is it gives us a way to engage youth so we can continue to develop individuals that continue to give back. Because it's one thing for me to give back. Eventually, we're going to get old, we're going to die off, but we have to continue to encourage the youth to kind of grow and give back. This particular event was Verses and Poets. So we are pure artistry. So everything that we do is revolving around the arts. We engage with math, all kinds of stuff, art, technology, everything. So once again, my name is Alana Monique Dennis. I am a private chef, but I'm also the executive director of Pure Artistry Community Outreach, and my mom is in the deck with the fiber arts and person and stuff. So that's not bad.
So, how can we, the members of the audience, best assist you in furthering your cause or efforts?
The best way to assist me would be to drop dry goods in our pantry box, drop books in our little library, or make financial contributions. There's my contact information if you want to find out how to make financial contributions, but the boxes are literally right on the side of the road. We're right on the corner of, what is it, West Fred Gray and Hawkins Street. They changed the name of the street. But it's literally, if you go away to, it's two turns, literally, and you will see the boxes right next to the daycare behind our building.
Good, 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 good. Cool. Questions?
Good, no questions.
No. I got two already. Bam, we're gonna start in the back.
Hello, Alana with one end.
Hi, Alana with two ends. I want to know some of the STEM projects that you probably talk about when you do the food STEM projects. And it was very interesting in another conversation we had.
All right, so one of the things that I do is I will go to schools, well, prior to the pandemic, I haven't done any since the pandemic, but one of the things that I would do was go to career days at elementary schools and talk to kids about what they wanted to do when they grew up. And I would take a computer, and I would also take a loaf of bread, some peanut butter, and some jelly, and napkins, paper towels. And all the teachers would look at me like I'm slow. Like, why do you have peanut butter and jelly? What are you going to do with that? So basically, I use them to teach algorithms. And basically, they did not understand that all the algorithm was teaching processes. And you're literally teaching the kids to think analytically. That's the first step. You have to learn how to think through all of those things. So, yeah, that's one of the STEM projects that I'm doing.
So,
We didn't get a economically disenfranchised area. Are you having any problems as far as where your location is, what you're trying to do, as far as building it up, or the audience or something like that?
Yes, of course.
How can we help?
Financial contributions. I mean, those are always useful. Because of where we're located, a lot of times it is difficult to get people to even come and do the work. Even if you tell them that you have funds, they're more concerned about equipment being stolen off of the truck, or, I mean, it's just a reality of the community that we're in, and there's no way around that other than to help build that community up. I mean, when we first started the community garden, literally people stole free food. I mean, I never thought it was possible, but they did, like literally. I don't think they would eat all that food. Yeah. I mean, literally, they just ripped everything up out of the ground. But when we came back and we put more things in, of course, then we put stuff that would grow on a trellis, because you're not going to snatch an entire cucumber plant out of the ground. You can pick some cucumbers and you can get some green beans, but you can't take the whole thing. So, but one of the things that we've also noticed is since we put our pantry boxes up, we were concerned that people would take everything. They have not been taking everything. They've only been taking what they need. So I think it's getting to them. They're finally learning and grasping the concept that we're here. We're trying to build trust. I mean, my grandmother and my grandfather ran the church in the building that we're located in, and they know the family. So we're embedded in the community, and we're dedicated to helping the community that gave so much to us.
Is it possible to have a community garden extended outside of this community? Would you be willing to help develop somewhere else?
Absolutely. And one of the other things to kind of piggyback off that is because I am a private chef, I try to introduce various fruits and vegetables that people are not used to. So last year, I think we grew spaghetti squash, and most people up there don't even know what spaghetti squash is. So it's literally, I do a lot of cooking demos to kind of teach people better ways to eat healthier and to not have to cook everything with ham hocks and all that stuff. It still tastes good. 142 West Frederick Avenue is the address. Boxes are located behind the building.
Cool.
All right, and can we get Trey's stand up, y'all? This was his project, the pantry boxes.
Appreciate you, Trey. Yes, our super steam person. You did bring up the fact that you got a culinary degree. You talked about that, did you say that?
I did not say I had a culinary degree.
Okay, she has a culinary degree. And she's a programmer too, right? You did tell them that too?
Yes.
Okay, I was making sure. That's super steam right there. That's merging all of the arts and all of it together. Entertainment. Oh, that's sweet stuff. Good, good, good. Oh, and did you tell them that you did your cooking demos over on the Tuskegee Agricultural Innovation Center, and you're teaching the community about fresh cooking and all that stuff too?
Kind of, sort of, but not for real. So I do cooking demonstrations through Alana's Gourmet and the outreach program. So I get paid to cook, but I also cook for free. So.
All right, cool. All that social innovation action and creative placement, all that stuff happening. One time, come on. So next up, we have the artist and graphic designer and muralist, Mr. Milton Madison, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, good evening. Milton Madison is my name. I also am branded Mad Creative. So Milton Madison, starting off just regular artist, just a kid aspiring to be able to do as much art as he can whenever the opportunity presented itself. The opportunity didn't present itself often, so I found my way through comic books. I drew from comic books. I was inspired by Marvel Comics, and I really did that until I took art in 6th grade. From the 6th grade, I had no art until I got to college. Came here to Alabama State, and I've been finding myself ever since. Fortunate enough, I got eventually the opportunity to meet these guys, Kevin King, Kalanji, the 21 Dreams, King's Campus family, and all of these other artists in here. Just we nurture and inspire each other. So I've gone from just drawing things out of comic books to actually doing paintings. I did graduate with a degree in graphic arts and design, but I really didn't start blossoming into an artist, a full-fledged artist, I feel, until after I graduated. So from an artist to where we are now, I'm also a muralist. Those opportunities also came from the nonprofit organizations 21 Dreams and the King's Campus. The creativity that I've always had has been displayed on these larger canvases. These larger canvases without frames, they inspire, they help nurture community. Hopefully kids that may have not seen art as much art as I did growing up will see these murals and these images and be inspired to do things in their community. They beautify, they give light to the community. You're doing a mural and people ride by and they blow their horn and they ask you, do you want water? It's engagement, whether or not you know it or not. It's a great feeling, and to know that you're giving something back to the communities that you're a part of that may last for years, decades even. You know, so this is one of my first murals here. I did it at That's My Child, Charles Lee, his spot. I was teaching art over there at one point, so this was the first mural I did with Sonny Paul. She introduced me to the process. These are just images that help build the foundation of what That's My Child is now visually inspired what he was doing inside the building. If you know anything about what's going on there, it's a lot of stuff happened since this mural went up. And I really appreciate the opportunity to do this. It was really nerve-wracking, and I was a little nervous about it, but Sonny really helped me in this project. One of the other slides that I had was an image of a mural that I have downtown. That image is called Are You Listening? Kevin helped me with that. We went about it in a different way, putting the image on the wall. Sonny, we used a grid. Kevin showed me how to use a projector. So each mural, I'm learning different ways, different methods, different techniques, different things that you can do to get the art on the canvas. And you learn a lot about yourself while you're painting. You know, you're outside in the elements, you sweat, you're hungry, you're hot. But you think about what this is going to do. You think about what the message is. You think about, is it going to invoke conversation? Is it going to inspire? Is it going to make people that are having a bad day feel better? Is it going to just be bright colors that just light up a otherwise drab wall? You know, sometimes it doesn't have to be anything too deep. We want color in our community. You know, we want diversity in our community. We want images that help people to see something else other than what they feel if it's a negative thing. And sometimes we do need to reflect. So that's what murals do. This is me and my wife, my daughter, at the dedication of the Are You Listening mural. This mural came from the George Floyd incident. A group of us were just on the phone, just expressing our feelings one day. And from that, this mural was birthed. The opportunities that come as a result of these murals, they're limitless. Community engagement, so many other conversations and things come from people seeing this art, being inspired, and wanting other artistic expressions in the community. So hopefully we can continue to build the city artistically with more murals and more art. And this is Milton Madison, Mad Creative. All right.
Milton Madison, Mad Creative, how can we, the audience, best assist you in furthering your efforts?
Off the top of my head, probably the best way to assist would be to pour into your nonprofits, have conversations with the artists. Those nonprofits that support the arts, they try to help us be able to plan, organize, structure projects that help us to be able to fund these ideas, push forward new ideas, innovations with new things like with the MGM Works project that we did with Trent, you know, being able to come in to that space and create and have the art tie into technology. That was a new opportunity that not many of us had gotten the opportunity to do. Any of the murals that we've done, they start great conversations. They start engagement in the community. And so just continuing to support, have those conversations. If you have properties or ideas or visions artistically, that's what we're there for. We're trying to help bring dreams to reality. So if you all have a dream, our responsibility is trying to help bring that vision to reality, you know.
That's good. Questions?
Since you've been growing and doing a lot of stuff with a lot of the artists that you do, a lot of canvases and murals that you've done, what's the next big thing that you would like to do that's almost scary to you, a big project you want to take on?
Every project I take on is scary. I think that's something that a lot of us, maybe I'm speaking for myself, have a bit of artist anxiety when you go into a project. I just found out about 2 possible murals that I might be commissioned to do, one today and a conversation about one yesterday. But something that I would really like to do, me and Kevin and a couple other artists have been talking about it, is a mural festival. You heard it here first. I would like Montgomery to have a mural festival. I think more murals hopefully people with building and properties would embrace that idea and let us put some artwork in this city, man. Some big time artwork that's going to inspire and that's going to help beautify the city. As we start to grow, we want those things in the different aspects of our city and who we are to be seen and not just to be, and nothing against the civil rights struggle, but we are more than that, you know, and we want all of those things and those stories to be told in new, creative, visual ways.
Yes.
Is anybody working on a mural tour? I like the idea of a festival too.
I think a tour would be a great part of the festival. If you had those murals that we currently have to be linked to a tour or linked to maybe a little, I guess, a route, and you're able to maybe go and Boyd might put something together where you can scan and the murals pop up and they give a little speech about, you know, what this mural is, and then you go to the next one and you scan and it talk, something like that. I don't know, but you know, I'm not saying that there's not a route or a tour. I Am More Than Tours, Michelle Browder, she does a lot of great tours, and I'm sure as she goes through the city, she probably points out some of those murals. So that would be probably one of the things that I could say yes to. I don't know 1,000%, but she's right there in the back. You can ask her when you get the opportunity. I'm sure she can add that to the tour if it's not already a part of it.
I'll say that she does the mural tours, and then I know there's some efforts to make a, like to what Milton was describing, mural tour where there's information about the murals as well. It's kind of self-guided. So, and a little bit of that is being is it Montgomery.com? I'm not doing any plugs, but that's where you can kind of. I think that I know that some of that is already there.
So hopefully we can just add more murals to whatever's already existing or whatever's already about to happen. Because there's a lot of things about to happen here in this city. So look forward to all the great things that you all are doing, and hopefully me and the other artists in the room can be a part of, making some of those things more creative.
Cool.
Kevin King has his hand up.
Real quick, you have an art for sale back here?
I have some art on this table back here. I got prints, I got originals, and I have MGM Culture t-shirts that I did design. So come back there and see if you all got time. Thank you very much.
Cool. Let's see here. You'll see some of, I know that, I know Birmingham recently had somewhat of a mural fest, right? And then, was it Memphis? Memphis, yep. So it's happening, it's successful. Yeah, we just gotta get some efforts around. All right, y'all good? Everybody good? All right, so we're gonna keep it running. Welcome to the stage, Andrew Szymanski and Will O'Connor, community builders and owners of Hilltop Public House. Woo! Right.
Thank you. All right, so I'm Andrew Szymanski. This is Will O'Connor. This is kind of our story, just a small story about our version of creative placemaking here in Montgomery. Will and I have been in town each separately for about 12 years and became good friends through things like kickball, tennis, soccer, and kind of our love for travel. And there was one trip in particular we took with some of our friends, spent some time in Maine, and we were talking about what kind of the next steps for our lives was going to be. Will was getting ready to start a family. I was thinking about some job opportunities and wanting to locate myself in some other kind of quote-unquote cooler cities. So with a little help of Urban and a beautiful sunset, we started talking about what the next steps of our life would look like. And one of the things we kind of landed on was that rather than necessarily having to go out somewhere else, we wanted to creatively create the things that we wanted to have for ourselves here in Montgomery. We started out with a couple of different projects, one of those being the Urban Trails Project, of which Will is still the executive director of today. And we started with this really cool project up in Cloverdale, a pop-up trail, just teaching people kind of the virtues and values of pedestrian infrastructure, why it's important to connect our neighborhoods, in a very small way, creating something that you guys have probably seen in other areas like in Atlanta with the Beltline, as you can see pictured here, just kind of taking this idea of something that's being done in other cities and adapting it to the assets and infrastructure that we have here in Montgomery already. Another way that we've done that, and something that's particularly important to me, is we have this wonderful kind of natural asset. So this is an abandoned railroad, which could easily be turned into something beautiful like a Rails to Trails project or a park or something like that. We also have a beautiful river in downtown Montgomery. I've spent many years with Bill producing and creating events on that river, not really because we enjoy the competitive side of paddle sports, but because we were trying to find a unique way to draw people down to engage with our river. So many people here in Montgomery have never actually been out on this wonderful natural asset we have. And as someone who has produced and participated in paddle races all over the world, there are very few places that have a natural asset like we have here. And so we're just two guys that wanted to kind of expose Montgomery to this in our own small way. And so we've produced these paddleboard events as you've seen here. There used to be a Dragon Boat Festival in town. We've even done something as cool as a 65-mile race that came all the way from up in Clinton down to Montgomery just to get people out on the water. And then our next natural step was a lot of our friends ask this question, excuse my friends, but they say, you know, there's not enough cool, you know what, in Montgomery for young people like us. And so what Will and I decided to do was to try and figure out a way to create something that we would enjoy as young professionals, as young people, as citizens of Montgomery. So right down the block from here, that way, we bought this storefront, this beautiful storefront with this really rich history to it. And we started getting to work. We actually closed on these buildings on February 28th, 2020. So this was literally our COVID project, coming up here and trying to create spaces that we could attract young, small, entrepreneurial type business owners to come participate in and kind of blossom, you know, whatever it is that they wanted to bring to Montgomery. One of the things that we did in this process, be very purposeful about how we created the kind of leasing structure, the infrastructure for these spaces, so that we could really give people that had a hard time finding the brick and mortars or the spaces that they needed to create their business dreams. A good example is this building right here that was falling apart, completely crumbling down, and almost unusable. And now we've turned it into basically the food court pad for a food truck. And actually, if you guys go outside when we are done, Amber Bonds, who owns Funky Forte, bought this truck off of the people down in NYC Europe that are no longer using it. And as somebody who had been an executive chef, used it as her kind of stepping stone to whatever future dreams that she has. At the same time, we also opened up Hilltop Public House. We wanted to create a space that was unique, kind of a reflection of our dreams, kind of who we are as people. So it's a coffee shop, it's a bar, it's got a bike shop inside, and then we have right next to us the wonderful Jen Powell and Seville Salon. So without even intention, just taking some time to kind of let these buildings speak, our vision of creative placemaking, our vision of Montgomery, have kind of taken over this Hilltop dream, invited people, their families, and all that to kind of enjoy what inspired us, and are really looking forward to kind of participating into the creative economy that Montgomery has a lot of potential for. We're taking things that already were here in Montgomery, whether that be rivers, whether that be our infrastructure on the streets, or whether it be all the abandoned buildings that are across Montgomery, and create it into something that we think will make everybody's quality of life a little bit better. So cheers, y'all, and if you guys get a chance when this is all over, come see us.
All right, so tell us, how can we, members of the audience, help you best assist you in furthering your cause or efforts?
I'd say, I'd give you a unique, different way to answer that is, I would say, do the same thing. Montgomery has all of these physical assets that are sitting out there. And, Will's a pretty awesome guy, but we're not that special or unique when it comes. We've never done development projects before. So it was a big risk. We've staked a lot on it, and it's returned so much to us. So I'd say if you want to support the concept, instead of trying to figure out what this place has or this place has that we need here, kind of take something that is already existing and then create it in your own vision. I see a lot of kind of entrepreneur types and young people try and say I was in Chicago and they had this really awesome thing, and if we just had that in Montgomery, it would be cool, it would work. And I don't know if that's always the case. I think part of what we've learned and experienced is that by just keeping our focus on what it is that we thought would be a fun addition to what Montgomery was kind of lacking, we've been able to create something pretty unique. I think our biggest compliment is when people come into the public house and say, this doesn't feel like Montgomery, or this doesn't feel like anything else that's been here. And wasn't something that we tried to accomplish, it's just something that kind of naturally came out of it. Same thing with a lot of the things that we're doing, whether it be the races or Will's project with pedestrian infrastructure. Please get out and encourage the community to get excited about these kinds of projects. I don't know if you want to talk about it, but Will's literally in the middle of a master plan to put 85 miles of pedestrian trails that will connect all of our neighborhoods, all of our entire city to each other, which is and it's something that, when people talk about these kinds of projects, they look at a place like Atlanta and they go oh, you must be building the Beltline. Well, you can't build the Beltline in Montgomery. We don't have 1.5 million people that can support that thing. But we actually don't know what projects like that will spark. And so, the first time we did a Dragon Boat Festival, there was like a couple hundred people in the riverfront. That thing grew to 10,000 participants and spectators within a few years. There's so much potential and untapped things that are sitting here in Montgomery that I just kind of want everybody to get out there, find a building, or start a race, or I don't know, do like just create as much as you can, because there's so much room for things here.
Questions?
So, what happened to the Dragon Boat race? It was pretty huge. I assume things like that, or we used to have Jubilee here that was like the 4 or 5 days and big names. I just assumed people lost money and it stopped happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, with Dragon Boats, one, we ran into a couple things. One was COVID, so it wasn't exactly conducive to do that. But also, I think it's that kind of like the torchbearer thing. So obviously, me being the one there, is that I was getting ready to go do other things in life and was kind of debating what I wanted to do. And there wasn't necessarily somebody to come fill that for me. As I said, I was literally telling Will when we were on that trip to Maine, like, I think I just want to go live in a cooler city. And I think I want to go where they have this and they have that and they have this and that. And then, as I said, we drank a lot of beer.
This is what is going on, Miss Marion.
Why don't we just stake everything and just try and do it here? So, Dragon Boat specifically was because I was ready to be done with Dragon Boats. But I think in a lot of these things, though, it leaves a vacuum, right? So then there's an opportunity for somebody else to come in and be like, man, that was so much fun. And I don't think it really was the paddling part of Dragon Boats that made Dragon Boats successful. It was the festival and the community like come together. I had so many people over those years come to me and say, I never saw that many different people in the riverfront ever, or I'd never been in the riverfront ever, you know. And we kept trying to come up with things so whether it's Dragon Boats or whether it's stand-up.
That's what's going on, Ms. Marion.
Arts festival or whatever, showing up, participating, exploring your city is something that's fuels the success of those kinds of events.
Let me add one thing to that.
Please.
One thing to that pops up all the time. The city is not responsible for making this place special. The city of Montgomery is not responsible for making this place special. We are. I can't do it again. The city of Montgomery is a bureaucracy. They respond to problems. They don't create new things. Dragon Boats fell victim to people expecting it every year. They just expected that the city was paying for it or somebody else was paying for it. And the same thing is happening with a lot of other things. So when you see something that's special, get involved in it and carry it on. Because somebody's going to leave town. And when they leave town, there's going to be a vacuum. And somebody else needs to be there. And we see that, I know I'm past time, we see that in a lot of things. So I hate it when people tell me, man, I wish the city would bring back Dragon Boats. Because he brought Dragon Boats. People tell me I wish the city would build more trails.
You're welcome.
I build trails. They help. Don't get me wrong. They help. We can't pay for it by ourselves. But it's not the city's ideas. All right? It's y'all's ideas. And we tell them what we want. So we have to tell them what we want.
Right on. So next up, we'll let her get loaded up.
Thanks for asking that question so I can go through it.
The artist behind the signature. Artist, creative, and muralist. Miss India Wilson. One time.
Sorry guys, no more in the back, so let me just bring them up with me. How you guys doing today? I know you guys are all tired of listening at this point. Are y'all tired? No. Good. That's a great answer. So yes, exactly. So I'm going to get on it. I believe in starting on time. When I'm at my daytime job, I make sure that I stay on time. So my name is India Wilson. My daytime job is head of operations at the Montgomery Museum of Fine Arts. So I'm not making sure that the museum runs properly. I do art in my spare time. So this is actually surreal for me. Over 18 years ago, I used to volunteer at the Jubilee Center next door, the after-school program when I was at BTW, the National Honor Society. At BTW, my magnet was visual arts, so I went through the whole curriculum, competed to be in that program, did all 4 years, and I have a background in everything from acrylic to oil to drawing, pastel, and you name it, I've done it. So I've done colonial prints, block printing, everything. The crazy thing about some of the stuff that I do is I don't create art for myself. I find that to be very boring. Most of the art that I do it for other people. So I'm an art for service. I'm an artist for service type of person. You want something, I produce it. A lot of stuff that I'm putting up right now that's on the screen rotating, that's not rotating. Just take this, honey. Well, just spend time with this person. Oh, that was your fault. Okay, good. So let's move on. So I'll keep talking, but most of the things that I do that gives me pure joy, the purest passion, is when someone calls me and says, hey, can I have this? I need this. I can't find it anywhere. Can you reproduce it? I've seen it somewhere, and I've done it. The only 2 pieces that I've actually done for myself is the one on the screen here. It was actually inspired by Kalanji. I went to one of the openings for one of the art shows that we did maybe before the pandemic, and I was so distraught that I hadn't created anything. One of my biggest fears is that as an artist, if you're not constantly producing something, then your value is tied to what you're producing. So if you're on a lull in production, then it means that your worth somehow diminishes. Maybe people forgot your name. So one of my biggest fears, in addition to not producing, is the fact that when I sign my pieces, is every piece that up here is IOW. And I'm thinking, well, how will anybody know that IOW is me? That's one of my other fears. So my Instagram and my Facebook is India is IOW. I just have to get at peace with the fact that I have to constantly just introduce myself to people, get comfortable with having those conversations. I am IOW. And the history behind IOW is when I started early on in middle school, when I was creating art all the time for school purposes, my mom would say, you don't turn anything in without your signature. So I'm the artist behind the signature. Every piece that you see that says IOW, that's me. If you see anybody else that says IOW, that's not them, that's me. And a lot of times people tell me that I can tell your artwork by your style, by your handwriting. I put every ounce of myself into my work. People can see my work and say that's me, that's because it's my DNA. And I believe every artist that creates a piece of them, if you buy a piece of artwork, you're buying their DNA. Essentially, you're buying their an essence of who they are. So I do everything from now in my adult life. I've dabbled into sewing. I love to quilt now. I make graduation stoves. I've done caps and gowns. Some of the things that you see here on the screen, they were given or made for other people, and just handing a piece of me to somebody else brings me joy. And that's why I continue to create artwork for others, because it brings me joy. So now I'm merged over into doing some collaborative art, which you'll see some pictures pop up in a few seconds or so. But I'm moving in the collaborative art space where now I'm moving from making things for other people, now I just want to create with people. So I want to paint with other people. So before the pandemic, before people were scared to come and gather amongst each other like we are right now, I was invited to do a collaborative piece, and I just brought a canvas. I created a design for the owner. It was at a jazz night up the street, and I put a piece together, and I let everybody paint a section, and after we painted the section, I cleaned it up, and then I gave the piece back to the owner. So that's something that I really enjoy, because it gets people out their comfort zones and allows them to kind of network. You don't have to hold your drink and be scared of a little corner. You come on over and talk to me, paint a little something, and then go back to the crowd and get after it again after your networking experience. I think the biggest thing, some people are going to come up and talk to you about creative placemaking. You can't have creative placemaking without the creatives. So the biggest strength that I bring to the creative placemaking scene is that I am able to take myself anywhere and create with anyone and do multiple things like you said on the screen. Everything that's on the screen I actually did. And it's a wise I have a wise and intentional time.
I'm redeeming my time.
And we collaborate pieces into events, set up the canvas, and everyone makes a section. That's the aftermath of me dibbling dabbling on it. If you want to see any other work that you have not seen, or maybe Sonny put too fast, you can follow me on my Instagram. My Instagram is the same as my Facebook because I am a simple person and I don't believe in all the hoopla. But at the bottom is what everyone came to do on the left, and then I cleaned it up on the right. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So take away, can't be creative placement without creatives.
Angie, how can we, the audience, best help you with your efforts?
You guys can best help me by connecting me with people who want to collaborate with me, especially on canvases. So if you want me to come to your event, set up a canvas. It's your design. You tell me what you want, because I believe in giving people what they want. Because again, I am client servicing. Like I'm client facing, I'm all about the people. So events, weddings, corporate events, picnics. You're sitting in the living room by yourself. I come collaborate with you in the living room, with the canvas. We do it together. And then you get a finished work of art. Other things, I think collaborating is good enough. I do murals as well. I forgot to talk about that. I have at least 4 murals around the city. So if you have an empty building and you want something cute, lovely, words, inspiration, I specialize in lettering. I love doing letters all together. Sorry, you can't see me. Okay, next question.
Cool. No. Any other questions? What's your next big project?
Next big project, I am applying for a mural out of state.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
So hopefully I'll be traveling. Because I like to travel. A lot of my work takes me out of state anyways. Okay.
When's your next installment?
Next installment, Ashley's going to get set up on Friday. If you go to the Peacock District, that's not too far from here, maybe like a few blocks away. I did an 8 feet by 18 feet mural that's going to be set up underneath the awning. So if you follow Mr. Gilbert's here on 21 Dreams, he has done a nice frame for what I painted already. So tell me what you think. If you like it, tell a friend. If you don't like it, tell me.
Alright. Any other questions? Alright, we got one more person. Y'all sure? Got nothing?
One more work.
Excellent. Alright. So to close us out, our first Ignite Fest is our guy. The creative placemaking himself, Kevin King, artist and creative placemaking. I'll just read my notes.
Kevin the King. I ain't talking about Martin Luther.
King, executive director and founder of the King's Campus. He's trying to get some to play some music, so you can rap on too.
Yeah. Wu-Tang.
Serious about this pose out there.
You know.
I'm handing the mic when you're ready. You ready? All right.
All right, how y'all doing?
Fine, sir.
All right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and get it started. I'm Kevin King. I am the founder and director of King's Canvas Studio, located in West Montgomery. Now, we do like so I grew up doing art. Pablo Picasso says, every child is an artist. The problem is how to remain one when we grow up. I was around 17 years old when well-meaning adults said, you know what, Kevin? All this art thing you've been doing all these years is cool, but you need to pick a real major, get a real job, because you're going to have to support a family one day. So I went to school for chemical engineering instead, because as a 17-year-old, I was told that I couldn't make a living off art. Life happened. 16 years passed by. I'm married, I have a child, I'm working. I hadn't done art 15, 16 years. Until one day my wife just got tired of me going to some of our friends' homes saying, man, I want to learn how to paint one day. Man, I want to start back doing art one day. And so she said, I'm going to take away your excuses to not create. And she purchased me art supplies 2013 for Father's Day, she and my daughter. And she said, I'll take away your excuses for not creating. When she did that, it opened up a new world for me. I wasn't a part of the King's Canvas back then. King's Canvas wasn't even a thought. Starting this organization wasn't even a thought back then. I was working for another organization in town, and eventually I left that organization and I started the King's Canvas. Because I saw at that time, other than Kalonji Gilchrist, Michelle Browder, and then another sister named Tracy Howell, from my vantage point, I didn't see anyone in Montgomery other than them really investing in black artists in Montgomery. From my vantage point, a lot of people had opportunities, but a lot of our African-American artists during that time, we were just underground with no opportunities. I wanted to be able to reach people who were like me. That person who was told coming out of high school, you can't make any money doing art. That adult who was just getting into art for the first time because I was painting for the first time. Also that adult who took a hiatus for years and needed that encouragement to get back into it. So I opened up the King's Canvas located in 1413 Oak Street in West Montgomery. And then I went to a conference that dealt with something called creative placemaking. Creative placemaking integrates arts, culture, and design activity into efforts that strengthens the community. All of that is cool, but in a nutshell, it's using the arts as a conduit to address issues of community and economic development. And in Montgomery, Alabama, on the west side, our black business district was decimated due to the interstate, late 60s, early 70s, and we are in an economically stressed community, historically marginalized community, and we just started painting murals in the city. Not just in the city, but in that community. What immediately happened after that was people gravitated towards this area that no one would even dream of hanging out in because we had a bunch of vacant and abandoned properties. So we took those vacant and abandoned properties, we beautified them, it drew people, and now we have business owners saying, wait a minute, I want to have my business back over there. Now we have the nighttime events. That's creative placement. Business is moving in, land activated because people are not there, and now we have businesses that want to move in. And now on the 7 Montgomery March Trail, which is already, a trail that deals with our tourists, now the tourists are stopping. They're getting on the bus and they're engaging in that area. Now we're on the very beginning stages of not just our beautification and creative placemaking efforts, but we plan to not only have a coffee shop and bookstore move next door to us, another restaurant, but our studios eventually going to convert into a gallery. Gift shop is coming, but there's a lot of activity, a lot of excitement over here in this area. We even have a huge kiosk, just like the one down here that Will and Andrew has at Hilltop that Boyd was responsible for putting in. And lastly, one of the things that we want to also do on an opportunity aspect, I just want to shout out Trent for just his community building efforts when he was at MGM Works, really encouraged our artists. We still have artwork hanging in MGM Works, and I was amazed that he came up with this idea of us actually using that spot as an art gallery, right? And so that was very encouraging to our people. People like Boyd, who teaches his entrepreneur classes, our artists are able to do that. People like Jeremiah and others are able to reject the starving artist mantra and say that we we're no longer starving as artists. We're going to be put on a path to be able to capitalize off our artwork because everyone else is capitalizing on it. I heard the beat. I'm sorry. And so, lastly, that was a guy sitting back there, Bob Magoo, who's a part of getting this busking ordinance passed. And we have a plan to, if you've ever been in New Orleans and Jackson Square, Montgomery's going to look like that in about a year or two, right? And our artists are going to actually be able to earn a living and take care of their families. We've seen it. Kalonji gave us a blueprint a while ago. Artists show up and say, how's it that I made more money today than I'm making a week on my job? And we say, hey, we need to keep that going and utilize all of these principles for it to. So there's a lot going on. Follow us at thekingscanvas.org. If you want to donate, kingscanvas.org/donate. For those of you who love messing around with Cash App, it's that $ and the King's Canvas. So please give. That's how you can help us. I don't have any other way that you can help other than giving money towards our efforts.
You dropped the mic on that one.
I'm break these folks' mic.
No, don't do that. Other than financial, just big dream. I don't know. How can we best support any effort that maybe it's not right now, right? The money may take care of it right now. What's big vision?
All right, big vision is connecting us with some folks who do have money. Because honestly, I'm going to tell you, look, being an African American in Montgomery, Alabama, period, that's running a nonprofit organization, we don't get a lot of support. This man has literally changed our ecosystem in this city, and he's the most inclusive person that I know. We don't get the resources. And so I don't have any other answers other than financial resources, because that's what we need. Because guess what? We've had others who come and capitalize off of our talents, right? And they get the money. I've been a part of organizations like that, but we don't get it. And we have visions, we have dreams, we have stuff that we need to activate. We have people that we have compassion for. We have communities that we actually live in and care about, right? That, you know, historically, a lot of the injustices have been committed in these areas, and in some ways, done it to ourselves over the years, but needless to say, we believe we have our finger on the pulse of the culture. And if we aren't the ones that's doing it, are leading the charge, somebody else is leading it, and they bringing us on board, and they're getting the resources in order to do the work. And so, but we still don't necessarily get a chance to maximize that and make the necessary change that we need to make. That's why I had to start the King's Campus, so we can be able to have that freedom to be creative and invest in our communities in a way that's beneficial and that's conducive. Cool. What else, man?
I'm gonna let the people talk. All right, Milton.
Give us an example in what the King's Campus looks like in 5 years. 5 years, what should the vision of the King's Campus look like?
So in 5 years on our particular campus, I see every space in the facility that we're in activated, right? Because right now we have an art studio there. Anyone who knows Valley Cross knows that Fred and Anthony Brock are opening up Value Books on Oak right next to us. There's another restaurant, a lunchtime restaurant moving next door to that I can't speak about because you don't want people bugging about it. But there's another lunchtime restaurant moving next door in our facility because we have a breakfast restaurant across the street, Barbara Gales, that's very supportive. Our current studio, we need a gallery because we need opportunities to show our work, right? So we might have to jump through a bunch of hoops and go through a bunch of red tape in order to exhibit. And so our studio is turned into a gallery. To the rear of our building, we have a larger space that will be the new studio because I can't bring in Carver High School kids or children from the neighborhood to get art instruction and entrepreneurial instruction because we don't have the space right now because our current space is cluttered and our artists are using Jeremiah is in there all the time taking space.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that too.
And lastly, we opening up a small gift shop because for long-term sustainability, the monthly, quarterly, annual donation model and the grants is just not sustainable for us, so we need to have a revenue generator that accounts for a certain portion of our operational costs. So that's and more art in the community. And there's some plans on that I don't have time to talk about.
All right, question.
Kevin, could you talk about Boyd's role in helping you and other makers and creatives understand the business side of entrepreneurialism and make that connection right between arts, creatives, and business?
And anybody ever been to Ravello? Raise your hand. New restaurant Ravello. So Ravello used to be a spot called Coors 46.
Yeah.
Coors 46. I have pictures on my phone. Come, let us see your shirt, man. Let us see your shirt. This is the thing right here. Love the problem, not your solution. Understanding that, taking this man's class over and over and over. And I literally just taking it over 10 times to the point where I'm not teaching sometimes. I don't teach him now because he does 12-week classes at this point. But in that space is where the King's Canvas was birthed. So the King's Canvas doesn't exist without this man right here because of what he taught. Right? And so now we have creators logging on and they able to think about entrepreneurship differently. And as they do that, they have dollars collected and dollars being put back into our ecosystem, right? And now we're able to activate spaces and people are able to see themselves as not only a business, but people are able to provide, well, we hope that people will be able to provide for our families. We're still on the front end of it, but it's all connected because typically as artists, you know, we just kind of do it as a side hustle. You know, we do it on the side, but we don't necessarily understand that we can actually make a living off of it. So that's what we get. And, you know, he's teaching classes every single week. Right. We had to skip one yesterday. We had to bring it up. I don't know about that, of course.
Just shout out to Brooke Boyd.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
All right, Jeremiah, close it out.
I'm gonna close it out. Yep. I'm gonna close it out. Hello, again, I'm Jeremiah Isaiah. I don't necessarily have a question for Mr. King, but what I do want to say is that his vision, his studio, it has helped me, not only me, but my wife, Sky. It has helped us truly just become a part of this community. He gave us a space to work. I'll never forget. Y'all got it. All right, y'all got it. All right. Look, I will never forget the first night I called him and I met with him, and after that conversation, he placed a key in my hand, and I'm like, well, what is this for? You know, he said, this is for the studio. This is why I'm here. This is what the King's Canvas is all about, selling people just like you. And I was going, like I said earlier, with Alana right there. I was going through some things at the time. His space gave me the chance and a place that I could put all of those emotions out on that canvas. And because of him, my life has never been the same. And you can ask my wife, she can attest to it. The night that I came home, there was a different fire in me. And so please, whatever this man is saying, understand, listen to it, how you can help. You can help by sharing, even if you don't have the money to put into the King's Canvas. You can help by sharing anything that they post, going to the website, talking to other people about it. Please do that, because this place is not just for an artist. This place is for a veteran, okay? And a veteran became an artist right under his wing. So please, thank you.
Creative placemaking, digital inclusion and rights, open data, and social innovation. Thank you, guys. We will hear from our faithful leader. Love the problem. Not faithful leader. I'm sorry, you were killed for that. No, you don't work like that. Love the problem, not solution.
Let's give Kalonji Gilbert up. A few months ago, I was reading an entrepreneurial publication, and I saw this startup in Atlanta had gotten a 7-figure Series A round of funding. And when I saw who it was, I sent an email off to the founders. And I said, things are looking up. Because that group, all of them were graduates of Auburn University. And I met them the summer after they had bombed a business pitch competition. And they were about to disband the company. And the people asked them to come to our training. And all of them were far left brain engineers. And they needled me for the first week. How do you know this stuff works? Because they were really kind of at their wits' end. And so from that period, they moved forward, doing exceptionally well. And I just said, hey, things are looking up. And the CEO hit me back and he says, no, thank you, because you've always believed in us. And I told my wife, that one statement, this region just got probably another 10 years of entrepreneurial training. Because that's what drives me. When you leave out of this building today, and you see what's going on outside, and you see what's happening here, that's a shot of adrenaline for me. There's one luxury in this world I refuse to engage in. Because if I were to start, that's all I want to do, and that's play chess. I think that is the most fascinating thing on the planet. My wife tells me, oh, you play chess. You just play for real. What am I saying? I would like to officially share that because of the fruit of this labor, we will be looking to, from this day forward, every year during the Air Force Conference, to stand up a sister unconference that begins at 5 o'clock when all the airmen finish up, that brings together the local community, all of those wonderful airmen and guardians who serve this country and protect us in this world. And we just mix it up and have conversations and talk about life and talk about building together this wonderful community known as Montgomery, Alabama. Thank you all. I want to thank all of our sponsors, River Regional Technical Solutions, One Sync Technology, the Light and Line Group who's handling all of the cuisine and the food trucks. I want to thank Alana Gourmet, our media sponsor, Gumptown Magazine, just everybody. Thank you. We want to thank our photographer and videographer, this guy, doing a great job. And please, as you leave, get something to drink and eat some food. And have a good time. Have a great night. Thank you.